All right, welcome back. I had my time to cool down. You know what I'm saying? I'm not as mad. That's a lie. I'm still pissed. But I'm still mad. But we're here to talk about Tennessee and then our Heisman rankings on this segment of the episode 7. So my first question, and yes, you could consider this as premature. Maybe I'm hyping him too much, but I will say, I asked this question: is Tennessee the LSU of 2022? And by that is what I mean is we see a lot of similarities. Hendon Hooker coming out of nowhere, having a great season. Joe Burrow came out of nowhere, had a great season in 2019. His offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, was really the guy who was holding it down, or the passing game coordinator, whatever you want to call it at the time. He was holding it down. He was the one calling the plays and making them look really good. Alex Golesh has done that. He has held it down. He has showed that he can call plays at an elite level as of right now in college football. Josh Heupel has come out there as a coach, not out of nowhere, but risen up to a higher standard and is being better as a coach in terms of keeping his team disciplined. And then once again, he's also part of that play calling, just like Ed Orgeron all of a sudden kind of popped up. So I'll say the biggest difference that I see is defense, but do you think Tennessee can be the LSU of 2022?
I'll say this. Offensive production-wise, yes. Literally, when you look at Tennessee, it's just like their passing game. Jalen Hyatt, Brew McCoy, and others, but at the end of the day, you want your offense to put up points on the board. They put up points in a hurry. Literally, when you think about the LSU game, they put up 28 in like the first quarter. First, second quarter, like just like that.
Yep.
After opening the kickoff, they just put points up just like that. And then when you think about the Bama game, they went blow for blow, and they outlasted. Literally, they outlasted easily, in my opinion, because I remember when Hendon Hooker was going for RPO and he dropped the ball, they got back up and they scored in the next 30 seconds.
Yep.
So it's just all about like the production wise. Yeah, they might not have the names or anything, but they're going to put up points in a hurry. And I have to say, Tennessee's probably the most prolific offense since that LSU. Like, yeah, you got 2020 Bama, but I think they're up there with Ohio State.
I agree.
Productivity
wise, yeah, exactly, yeah. Name wise, and that's what I was thinking. The biggest difference is just the names. You don't have a Clyde Edwards-Helaire name of a running back, but you do have a solid running back that can go out there and give you yards and passing out the backfield. Exactly. You have Hyatt, who I guess you could relate more to Jamar Chase because he was more of their deep ball guy. So I would say Hyatt is kind of their Jamar Chase. They don't have a guy who's on the level of Justin Jefferson. I don't think Hyatt's on the level of Jamar Chase, but he does play that type of role for them.
It's Brew McCoy, if anything.
Brew McCoy.
Because Brew McCoy, like the last, I'd say, I think the two games before Bama, he went over 100 yards. He had 7 for over 120 against Florida. No, against LSU. And then for Florida, he had 5 for over 100. It just they use him for screens and like a little routes over the middle where he just catches and runs, and he's so physical after the catch. So it's just like they use him as a tissue of a running game in a sense. But I mean, yeah, I say in it productivity wise, name wise, no.
Yeah, productivity wise, and then the other reason why I will say, if I'm going to answer the question, I'm going to say no, but barely no. Like, they're barely not what LSU is, and that's literally just because defense. Defensively, LSU still had a solid team. They weren't just, like, completely shut down on the defensive side, but they had a lot of good names that Derek Stingley was not allowing receivers to do anything that season. And if I'm being honest, if you put that Tennessee team against Bama's team in 2019, I think Bama beats that team because of who they have on their like Tua, Najee, Judy, Ruggs, Waddle, like Smith, like, everyone was there. So I don't see Trevon Diggs was still there. We had Xavier McKinney. Like it's just too much talent on that field. I think Tennessee wouldn't be able to get over And I don't think they would be able to match an LSU of 2019. Well, I know they wouldn't be able to match an LSU of 2019 either. So I think they're a little step behind, but I do think that there are similarities. I will say that. There are definitely similarities when you watch them play and watch how they run their offense and the things that they do and stuff like that. You can definitely look at them and say, like, okay, like LSU used to do stuff like this, and now Tennessee does stuff like this. I won't say that it will be as easy for them to run through their schedule because Tennessee, like, it was a tough game against Bama. LSU had a tough game against Bama, but that was literally their only tough game that season, even including the championship and the playoff and the national championship. So I think Tennessee will struggle in an SEC championship. They might struggle in a playoff. They would struggle in a national championship if they ran up against a team like Ohio State. So, yeah, that's the biggest difference to me is that I don't see them quite running through their schedule as easy. And then the name difference is very big. Yeah, that's all we have for Tennessee LSU. That didn't have to be a long segment. Second one is our mid-season Heisman re-rankings. We're re-ranking the Heisman players right now. I'll let you go first. You give me your top, I'll say 4, and then I'll give you my top 4.
Okay. Number 1, Hendon Hooker. Beating Bama, the media loves when a guy beats Bama. Look at Johnny Manziel, look at Joe Burrow. Like, if you beat Bama, you're automatically top 3 in my eyes. And Hendon Hooker has done what he needs to be doing this year. So, Hendon Hooker 1, CJ Stroud coming in at number 2. Good kid. Great offense. But Hendon Hooker just beats Bama. You got to beat Michigan to take it back. 3, give me Bryce Young.
Great take.
Like, give me Bryce Young. I think although Bryce lost, it was never his fault. Literally the saving grace of Bama. Mm-hmm. Like, when Jalen Milroe was in, you saw how Bryce was playing and everything. You saw how the offense was playing. It was just Jahmyr Gibbs.
Exactly.
It's like, yeah, it's cool. But when Bryce is on the field, so everyone's a threat. And Bryce is just that guy. Like, I promise you, he's just that guy. And 4, I'll still say Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I could agree with that. It's funny because mine's pretty similar, but
because I had Caleb Williams coming in at 4 because the way he played against Utah, I ain't gonna lie. Like, I thought Caleb Williams was soft. Like, I ain't gonna lie. Like, I thought Caleb Williams was just a pretty boy who just did what he wanted to do because he was just like link around and let him do whatever. Like, I looked at Caleb Williams as Kyler Murray. Like, they just came in knowing they got the spot solidified, knowing they can do whatever. But nah, he showed me that dog mentality against Utah. But other than that, nah. That Cam Rising honorable mention. DTR honorable mention. Yeah, that's Blake Corum.
I was about to say Blake Corum honorable mention. And that's really the only difference in my rankings. I said Hendon Hooker number 1, like you said. He has I wouldn't say he has like a Heisman moment, but he has a Heisman game. Like, you just beat Alabama and put up 52 points. Like, that is not something that often happens. Alabama does not let up 50-point games. They didn't even let up a 50-point game against LSU in 2019. They don't really do that. He went out there, he put up 50 points. CJ Stroud has been great all season. Stat-wise, he does look better, and he might get drafted or most likely will get drafted over Hendon Hooker because he's done this consistently. But it doesn't matter because they have not played any competition that you can sit there and be like, oh, yeah, because they're undefeated and he's done this. Like, it beat this team. That's what puts him on top. You can look at Hendon Hooker and say they're undefeated and they beat Bama. He's on top. So Hendon Hooker, number 1. CJ Stroud, number 2. For the same reason, like I said, number wise, like he's that guy. Like, he literally, I won't say he's their whole team, but he very much like puts them where they are. Without CJ Stroud, they would not be as great. I would still say they would probably still be undefeated, but they would still, it wouldn't be
not as dominant.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't be as dominant. That's a good way to put it. And then number 3, like you said, Bryce Young. Bryce Young has never been at fault for any of the losses this season, for the loss this season, or even when the games were close against Texas or against A&M or against Arkansas. None of those were, you can really look at Bryce Young and be like, oh yeah, Bryce Young did this, and that's why. No, like Bryce Young has been the reason that we beat Texas. I mean, we slid by A&M for an absolute blessing. And then Bryce Young was the reason that we were able to get out of that Arkansas. Well, Jahmyr Gibbs too, but it was a little bit of both that we were able to really not get out of the Arkansas game, but stretch the lead so that it was no longer a game like it was in the third quarter of that game. And like you see the difference, like you said, in Alabama's offense with and without Bryce Young, or Alabama's team in general with and without Bryce Young. Bryce Young is the team. He is literally the whole entire. Everyone in Tuscaloosa is on Bryce Young's little 5'11" back, which is crazy. So he's number 3. Number 4, I'm going Blake Corum. I'm not going to lie. Caleb Williams has played great, but they did go out and lose a game. Blake Corum in Michigan has not lost a game yet. 13 touchdowns, and he'll probably hit 1,000 yards in the next game that they play. Like, it's so hard for me to not watch what he's done and be like, yo, like we talk about Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a first-round running back. Blake Corum's going to be up there too. Like, he has to. So yeah, the only reason they wouldn't put him there is because Jahmyr Gibbs catches more, but overall, like, Blake Corum is just such a bruiser, and he still got speed. So right now, I'm putting Blake Corum at number 4 for that spot. If I'm doing honorable mention, honorable mention Caleb Williams, honorable mention DTR, honorable mention Jahmyr Gibbs. Like
okay,
yeah, like he's had over the past because we played Arkansas, A&M, and then Tennessee. A&M, he had 150. Tennessee, he had 100, so that's 250. And then Arkansas, he had like 250 in that game. Over the past 3 games, I think he's had 500 yards.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah, but when you think about it, do you think this year's draft class for running backs deeper than last year's?
For sure. Quarterbacks and running backs are going to be very deep this year.
But now, how many running backs you think will be drafted in the first 2 rounds now?
They NFL is so iffy about taking running backs in the first round. I don't know why. They hate doing it. The last one that we saw that was
Najee.
Yeah, Najee was taken first round. Nick Chubb wasn't.
Nick Chubb was second.
Ezekiel Elliott was first round, and we saw what happened to him after 4 or 5 years. It's like you can't trust these running backs. The running back shelf life is so limited in the NFL now. Unless the guy is just truly a generational talent, it's very rare that these guys are going in the first round, even though the running back talent is great this year. You have the guy from Ohio State, Henderson. Yeah, you got Blake Corum, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson. We were just talking about another one.
So Syracuse running back.
Syracuse running back is pretty good.
Oh, Braylon Allen. How can I forget?
What was the one? What was it? Kansas State we were talking about?
Oh, Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah, I couldn't remember his name. There's a lot of great running backs this season, so I could see a few of them. Second round there might be a run of running backs that go once teams get over their fear of guys not having a good shelf life. But yeah, after that, but I want to read the actual Heisman Trophy odds that they have right here. Number 1, they have CJ Stroud. They have Hendon Hooker 2. Surprisingly, they have Caleb Williams 3, Blake Corum 4, and then Bryce Young.
No, that's crazy. I ain't gonna lie.
Crazy, ain't it? Yeah.
If anything, the reason why CJ's the favorite right now is because of the preseason hype. Literally, Hendon Hooker had sleeper hype, dark horse hype. If Hendon Hooker had the hype that CJ had, Hendon Hooker would be the runaway right now.
He'd be the number 1. Yeah, CJ Stroud, Caleb Williams, Blake Corum, Bryce Young. This one, and then it goes DJ and DTR, Jahmyr Gibbs, guys like that afterwards. So yeah, that's all we have for this segment of the episode. A pretty quick one, especially since our last one went almost an hour. So yeah. That was what we have for our Heisman. Let me know. Let us know in the comments on Instagram. I'll probably put a poll too or a question or whatever. Let me know on Twitter, at the helm, TikTok, if you feel differently, who you think would be number one Heisman, if you feel like CJ Stroud, Hendon Hooker, or maybe even someone else, which would be crazy, and I'll let you know that it's crazy. But you can still say it to me if you want to. So we'll see you back on the next one. We're doing game picks. Yeah, not a ton of good games, but we have some solid ones in there.
All right.